Hi, my name's Irene. I am the digital marketing strategist here at Rumble Media, and today's training is going to be about setting up your analytics account in 2020. And just as of 3 weeks ago, Google Analytics has changed the way that you sign up for an analytics account because it is released this new version of analytics called GA4, and the objective behind this one is to deal with some of the big changes that are coming across privacy and security online, and also to Google is, in my humble opinion, starting to deal with some of these pop-up competitors that are simplifying analytics. So instead of using analytics, you're using these other tools like a Rebbe to set up your analytics. So Google has upped its game and it is looking really cool, but it's a little bit undercooked right now, so it's probably not going to be ready to use as an analytics tool until mid 2021. And so, but why we want to set it up now is because you want the historical data, because there are some cool tricks and hacks in Google Analytics that can give you insights from what's happened before to show what improvements you've done whenever that new person was hired, whenever you started a Facebook campaign or a Google campaign and you changed your channels and went really deep in that. It will have all of that data in the back end in your analytics anyway, and there are some cool ways to find patterns and trends in that. So setting up your GA4 from day one of your business or from now is really a good strategy to take, because there's going to be value in the historical data. So let's go through, we're just going to do a little quick run through of the framework and the purpose of Google Analytics in the Google Suite, which is Google Tag Manager, Google Data Studio, Google Optimize, and BigQuery, etc. But we're just going to focus on what's the play for Google Analytics. So Google Analytics is it's a storage. It's where all those clicks are stored. You have to grab those clicks, and how you grab those clicks is by putting Universal Analytics and GA4 on your website. We choose Google Tag Manager to do that here at Rumble Media purely because Google has been optimizing and giving preference to businesses that have a faster load time. And one of the key ways to keep your website light to load is to keep your tags and your scripts down, and using Tag Manager allows you to do that. So Google kind of changes its goalposts, just like it's done with the SEO updates over the past 10 years, to get people to use the internet tools in a way that makes it easier for them to do what they do, and they reward you by charging you less in your Google Ads campaigns if your website loads under 4 seconds. And if your website is over that at the moment and you want to make some quick wins and you're doing ads, I suggest you speed up your website. So, and you should always be monitoring that. So I'm going to give you a quick run through of the timeline of Google Analytics up until today. So it started with urchin tracking measurement. I think it's, anyway, I've done this four times and I can't remember what it is. Anyway, UTMs is one of the beginning frameworks of tracking that Google used, and it's still in use today, and it's mainly used in the way of inbound. So you don't put UTMs on your website, and I'm not going to go through it too much here because I've actually done a training on my free analytics course on that in greater detail with some recommendations of how you can record and monitor your UTMs. In that training. But it's anything that's outside of your website, like Facebook, etc. You can put UTMs on them. Now, Facebook and Google Ads, they have a different type of UTMs that you can do that's built with variables. that's also beyond the scope of this training. But the main reason you would use UTMs is on the email marketing that you do, that is in the analytics training again. So then what happened is it upgraded to a newer version of Google Analytics in 2009. And then the Google Analytics we have today, the Universal Analytics, came in 2013. And it's always kept the older versions of its tracking in play, but how it makes you move to the next tool is because it gives you so many more features every time you move up with them. So keeping up with their software is actually a benefit for you in your business. So in 2017, this crazy little thing popped up, and that is the Google Analytics way of tracking apps, behavior on apps. So those Mind, Body, Soul apps. Mind Valley does have an app, and yes, they would be tracking you through Firebase on that app. It collects user data, and it identifies the same thing as it would in your website and your social media, but just in an event format in Firebase. So what's the biggest change with GA4 to Google Analytics is that they are actually merging to become, so instead of being two separate analytics, they're now merging into the one, which is the GA4. And GA4 has this unique way. It has one way of reading it collects everything as an event, whereas Google Analytics would do page view, etc., and custom events. And the custom events is what is set up in Google Tag Manager. And Google Tag Manager is going to play a really important part in GA4 because everything in GA4 will be an event. There are some inbuilt events, like much more than what's available in GA. Well, there's none in GA, the Universal Analytics at the moment. But GA4 provides downloads, link clicks. It provides a built-in scroll, but you have to remember that only fires when people get to 90%. And really, a lot of your optimization happens between the 25% and the 75% marker. So that tracking that's built in isn't necessarily going to be something you want to stick with. You should have a Google Tag Manager scroll report set up so that it catches those other percentages, and then you turn off the built-in one that's already in GA4. But that's beyond the scope of this training right now. If I just wanted to give you a little bit of context on what's happening, what you can do in Universal Analytics, Google Analytics as it is now, and what GA4 is going to give you, and it is going to be cool. It's just not ready yet. So let's move ahead with getting your analytics account set up. So what you'll have is Google actually gives you, Google allows you to create as many accounts as you want. And if you have access to other people's accounts, like your partners or someone on your team, what you want to remember is there's this one rule in Google that makes their job easier and gives you much more consistency in the tracking across your website, and pushing that data from Google, which Google Analytics acts as a storage. Google Tag Manager acts as capturing all those clicks and events, which are impermanent. As soon as they go to the next page, it disappears. So Google Tag Manager grabs them, makes them permanent, and sends them over to Google Analytics to store them as an event or a page view or a download or a scroll. Whatever you set up in Google Tag Manager to capture, it will send it over to Google Analytics to store. But what you need to remember is your Google account needs to be the same in your Google Tag Manager, your Google Analytics, Google Data Studio, etc. So even if you're just starting with Google Analytics today, just remember that Tag Manager has to be set up in the same Google account profile, which is this on the right hand side, so that when it sees messages coming from Tag Manager, it's seeing the same person on that Tag Manager account as it's seeing on the Analytics account. And it's really important to do that, because otherwise you'll see these inconsistencies happen in your data and you'll be wondering what's the cause. And that is just a checkbox that you want to make sure you don't have to double check, because you've set that up right the first time. So to set up a new account, if you've set up a new business and you want to set up the Google account, a new Google account purely for your analytics, which is, and it's going to be and which is something you should do, and it's going to need to go to an email that is for business. You don't want to have your analytics coming into your personal email. You need to treat your email like you would your home. So you're going to check in on what your friends and what your shopping habits are like and all the emails that you get over into your personal email. And then you want to make sure that your business email is for that. You want to give that out to your business clients, your people who work with you, and to check in on your data, so that it kind of, well, no matter where you are working at that time, when you're checking that email, you know you're in work mode. And anyway, so what you want to do is you want to come over and open a new account, and you want to go down here and you want to use another account, and it says create account, and you want to do it to manage your business. Now, what it will do is it depends on your history, your cookie history in Google. It knows that I always set up a new email account. I hardly ever set up a Gmail account. So it's going to prefer, this is artificial intelligence. It is showing me the login that I would normally use when I'm creating an account for any of my clients. So I always use a business email address, and I don't set up a new Gmail address. If you want to do Gmail, it shortens the process of signing up for your Google Analytics account. But and so just know that if your view is different to what I'm doing today, it's usually because of the way you set up your email. And if you have your emails for your business not hosted on the same hosting as your website, which I strongly recommend, because if your website goes down, at least your emails are still working and you can get messages from your clients going, oh my God, your website's down. So, and well, your emails will stop working anyway, but it's just a best practices so that you're still contactable just in case the servers go down in Singapore. So then if you have a G Suite, which we use G Suite, it will, when you sign up to that email, it'll automatically create a Google account. So that's what we've already done. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to click on, we want to add the account on there, and we want to use another account. And I have done that one, and I just want to sign in. So Smart Marketing at Rumble. I'm logging in because I've already got a G Suite. So you get this welcome message once you've gone through and done all your verification of setting up your Google account. So what you will be nudged to do when you choose whether your business or your Gmail, you will actually Gmail, you won't see this message. If you're using your business email, it will actually come to this, like I'm doing G Suite, so it's saying, hey, look, welcome to your new account. Do you want to accept the terms and conditions of your new Gmail, G Suite account or Google account? And you want to say, this is just me going through and logging in as my new password. So I'm just going to go do that. So it'll give me access to my Google account. And normally when you sign up, it will give you this welcome page saying, because it'll recognize automatically that your Google account does not have a Google Analytics, and you've come to the subdomain. Every single tool in Google has a subdomain, and It usually starts with the beginning of the app. So it's usually analytics.google.com, datastudio.google.com, tagmanager.google.com, and that's how you get to those tools faster. So what you want to do is just click the start measuring, and it's going to help you name it in three. It automatically creates one view for you. So I'm working from the right hand element view in the back end of Universal Analytics to the left hand. So it automatically gives you a property, a view, and then you're going to set up the property, which is your website name for that gives you your UA tracking ID, and then you'll have an account name. So if you're only having one website in your near future, just name it underneath that one name, So I'm just going to go Rumble. I'm just going to call this my testing account. So I'm going to go Rumble testing. So that's going to be the name of this account, because all the properties and the views that I'm going to set up underneath this will go on my testing website. So it allows me to be able to identify it. Whoops, this is the testing UA code, so don't put this on the real site. So then the property name is the same, or Rumble testing. Or you can give it, if you have more than one website or business that you plan on doing, then this is how you would segment it down to the websites. You would name each of the properties based on the website that you're going to be doing, putting the UA code on. Now, this is the tricky bit. So this automatically is setting you up for GA4, even though there's nothing on this page that is saying that you're creating a GA4 property, except for this little thing here. It's not standing out. It hasn't changed the logo or anything like that. There actually, as far as I know today in November 2020, there isn't actually a GA4 logo, and most likely what they will do is update this little icon here, and that will be a new GA4. So what you want to do is you want to click on this show, and you want to, click on the hide advance. No, it was show, wasn't it? Yes. Yeah. And then what you want to do is you want to switch this on. And this is, even though it's only showing your URL here, it's actually going to be, I'm just going to put testing.rumblemedia.com.au, and you want to keep this ticked, create both analytics, GA4 and Universal Analytics, and you want to use the enhanced measurement for Google Analytics, because that is literally giving them permission to turn on those auto events that we were talking about before, downloads, scrolls, all those kind of things. Turn them on for now, and at least get to see them populate so you know what you want and what you don't want. And then the next, you just hit next, and then it asks you about your industry category. So this is in a line with in-market audiences and what they're when you do ads online, they will actually, if you're doing Google ads and people are in business and their demographics, or there's something in their audience targeting that will actually say that they're looking for business services, and you say you do this particular business service, then that gives Google another signal to say, yes, Rumble Media does service business clients and they do these particular keywords, etc., because I've got landing pages that have those keywords on them. So here you just choose just about every single one if you plan on doing advertising. If you don't have an app, then don't click that one, and then you just press create. Make sure you change the country to the country you're at, just to make sure that you're agreeing to the terms and conditions that are relevant in that country, and tick those two boxes and hit accept. And then you'll get a little message. This is Google's success message, and about all you're going to get when you change things in the back end. Now you can choose, I actually find that you need to hit this first to be able to get access to other things in that back end, but I'll show you how to re-access that. So you want to click this first so that it doesn't bug out the next steps you want to do. So it says similar to a tracking measurement ID is what they call the GA4 unique code that you need to put on your website, and the tracking ID is for the Universal Analytics. So you can just go, yep, got it. Now you want to come in here, and that gives you that preview page. So see here how it says the enhanced measurement is all of these built-in tracking. So they're tracking file download, site search. So you're already doing that. We actually have to set that up in the UA code, and these aren't the only things that are tracked automatically in UA is this one. Well, not even automatically, you have to set that one up, but it's this one. It's tracking page view. It does give you instructions here on how to set it up with Google Tag Manager. I recommend that you do that. We have a basic GTM container that we've got set up. We go through and show you how to not only set up your GTM container, but import the basic GTM container that I've pre-built, and I'm constantly optimizing and updating that. So, but otherwise on Google, there's tutorials if you want to go down that avenue. Now, before, as little as 3 weeks ago, you would have had to do this manually. So now they've made it automatic that your Universal and your GA is set up at the same time. This is alpha, which means it's so early coming out. It is, yeah, this is going to be cool for integrating with your CRM if you have one, and I'm not going to go any further into that, but it's super cool where you can see where GA4 is going. Now, this is you need to take a copy of this and put it somewhere so that you can actually set up your analytics on your website. I'm not quite sure how outside of GTM you can set up GA4 on your website. It would probably be in here well, it is. So it says here you want to copy this in the head code. So if you're not doing GTM, then this is how you do it. Normally in the back end of your website, in your theme, you will have a section in there. If you don't have a plugin that allows you to do it, then it will normally in Divi, they have, above the, head code, body code, etc. in there. You can put this in there for your GA and your GA4 and your Universal Analytics. I'm still getting used to the language. We use Google Tag Manager, as I've said before. The less plugins you have on your website, the faster your website loads. The faster your website loads, the more Google loves you and lets your content show higher or go up the scale of SEO. So there is a lot of settings in the back here. You can do cross-domain tracking within GA4 normally you would do that in Google Tag Manager, and there's a little tour that it pops up normally when you come in the first time, and so just go through that if you want to learn a little bit more about Google GA4. So now what we're going to do is I just wanted you to set both of them up, and now I'm just going to give you a little bit of best practices on how to get your Universal Analytics set up. So that you can, because your GA4 is best practices is done. So this just asks you if you want to download the app. What you want to do is go down in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and you want to click on the admin button. That actually gets you into the back end of your Google Analytics, which is where you do the work of preparing Google Analytics to capture as much information as it possibly can automatically with just setting that code onto your website and not having Tag Manager set up at all. So right here, you're going to see that this is your account. You can see that there's only one account. You can see that there's two properties. And it's only two properties for the one website because we are setting up GA4 and UA. So it's named them clearly so that you can see that this is the Universal Analytics and this is the GA4. So now what's the best practices on this level is you want to actually, there's one thing I want to I'm going to show you this first. When it comes to adding a user, you've got 3 different columns in the back there, and wherever you add them to, that's the column that they're going to have access to. If you want them to have access to all 2 columns, you will add them at this level, because it will allow them to move your filters across the different views. If you only add them to this level, they get this and that level, and they can't do anything top level with your filters. And then of course, if it's an SEO person and you just want them to have a look at you just want them to have a look at that, then you will add them to that level. Now also within each of those levels, you can actually give them access to what they can do in each of those levels. So here, this is where you give them those permissions. You can just, for an SEO person, you can just give them read and analyze. For someone who is building up reports for you and dashboards, you want to give them this level. So if you want to share a report with someone, you have to give them the collaborate level. If you want someone like me, a tracking specialist, to come in and set up all your filters and goals, exclude your membership sites and the traffic in one view, and have a view only for your students. If you want to filter all your Facebook traffic into just one source medium, all those kind of things that will help tidy up your data and make it easier for you to identify patterns and trends, then you will give them everything above the line. Now below the line, in short, you never have to give anybody those permissions unless you have sold your business and you are transferring the data over to them, or it's someone you trust with your firstborn. That is the level of responsibility that comes with giving people that access. If it's someone who's been on your team for years and they're a part of the furniture, and their responsibility is to add and remove people from your analytics as you hire and work with different agencies, and yes, give them that, but make sure you trust them, with this part of your business. So then what you will do is write up their email up there, and then you will add them, and that will send them an invite to access Google Analytics, and they don't have to do anything else apart from log into their analytics, and your account and property will show up in their analytics account. So that's probably the most important thing about how to manage your account that I want to get across in this training, because it is kind of important not to give away your data or be held at ransom for your data. And especially if you work with an agency for a first time and you haven't got your analytics set up and they aren't doing the right thing by you and set up your data underneath their account. So that should never happen. You should always own your data. So there are a few, oh no, I've already done that one, wrong button. I just want to check in here and make sure everything's ticked in here that I need. So what we want to do in here, there's a couple of things you want to turn on. You want to, if you're doing Google Ads and you're going to, we recommend the hybrid tracking. So you would tick that. So that's one thing to come back to. That's beyond the scope of this training. But you want to turn on your demographics and interest reports, and you want to turn on your enhanced link attribution as well. This gives you more information in your audience reports, so it's good to turn that on. You can actually connect your search console in here to see the keywords that your blogs and your ads are showing up for in Google. So if you don't have a Google search console set up, please set one up for your business. That's not part of my scope of training. That's an SEO person kind of thing. It should be. I do that for my clients, but I don't teach it. So it's just something I love doing, and I just do it automatically. And that's a good practice to have in your Google account, especially if you're planning, if you need hundreds and hundreds of clients, people, businesses, people coming to your website, and you are using SEO a lot to grow your business, and you definitely need to get Google Search Console done. So we had our little success message come up there before. So now I want to go over to my tracking info, and I want to turn on my Google Signals, which allows you to capture data for advertising and retargeting. Have them both on because they do some cool things for cross-domain tracking, not so much cross-device tracking. So what else do we want? There is, you can customize that, but we're not going to do that. Another thing to put in here is if you've got a WooCommerce store and you've got PayPal or Stripe, you want to have them in your referral exclusion list. If you are using a booking calendar like Acuity or any of those, you also want to put them in here as well. You will capture them as to be not a referral when you put them in your cross-domain tracking, again, beyond the scope of this. This is just getting you to set up your analytics so it's done in a way so that you can see what's happening on your website, both from the Google Analytics and the GA4. So the last stage that we're doing in our Google Analytics setup is a few last tweaks in this. This used to have to be ticked, but now Google makes it automatic. Now, on most websites, you will have a spyglass up the top, which is your search bar, and that is a really good thing to track, and this is how you turn it on. And where that comes up is you will see it in here under site search, and after you've been publishing and posting in social media for a while, you want to come in here and you want to see, over time you're going to start seeing information populate. And for me, we use that for blog ideas, and if it's being searched enough or we can see that there's a particular page that people are landing on, we go through and diagnose it in your data to see if that's a valid concept for a new blog to write on your website. So now that we have this view all set up as we want to, we've set up the currency properly in the setting up of the account, we've got our success message up there. What I'm going to do is create the 3 basic views that you need to have in your analytics account. So we've got our all website data, so that's going to keep everything. That's where we're going to be doing our goals, our filters, and everything else that you want to do to customize and filter your data into a way that you can get some really cool reports from it. You want to do it in your all website data view. But before you move anything over there, you can do goals over there. But if you're doing filters, and mainly filters, because the filters are in the back end in this element aspect of, oh, I forgot to write that properly. Is it going to save it? No, I'm going to have to rewrite it. View settings. Just gonna say, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have you want to make sure that you're testing your filters in this particular view, because what these filters do is they're permanent. And if you accidentally filter out all your Facebook clicks, then you can't get that back. It will be in your all website. It will be in the views that you haven't put that filter into, because the way that you build a filter is you build it in one view and then you transfer it to the other views. So this is why we set up a testing view and a backup view, just in case someone accidentally does that permanent filter in your all website data view. So then you've got one of these views to go back to, and yes, you'll have to build all your filters and your goals again, but you want to set it up this way. You want to have these 3 views, particularly for those kind of situations where someone comes in and gets all confident and cocky with how they're building out their filters, your filters for you, and they accidentally do a filter that loses some valuable data. So the all website data view is for your reporting and your checking in every week to see the patterns and trends in your data. Your test website data view is when you want to build out filters and use them to make your all website data view smarter. And then your backup view, which we put a Z at the beginning of it, just because as you might get one for YouTube, you might do a view for your membership, and there's ways that you set up filters so only those clicks go into those views, and you can look at the data in there without all the other clicks in there, and you can make some really good decisions from your student information, your YouTube information, whatever the view is that you want to put, whatever the clicks that you only want to send to those views, and make decisions on those reports based on only that particular traffic. So, and then the backup view is always going to be pushed to the bottom because we put a Z in front of it, and all you do is copy, rename it to what you want to use it for, whether it's for your Google Data Studio source, your with parameters, no parameters view, etc. So you can do 25 views in every single property, and you can have, I think, 99 properties. I think you can have 99 properties underneath one account. So you can do a lot with one Google Analytics account. So if you decide that you want to go onto more businesses, you just create another property for that website underneath this account. Right, that's it. That's your analytics setup. Then what you will do is you will take this tracking code from Google Analytics, and you will do the same as what you did with the GA4 code. You will put it in the head of your back end of your website, either in your theme, which has a header and footer element in there, or you can use Google Tag Manager, and we set it up on an all page view tag. Okay, that is Google Analytics. I'm so glad you're starting this journey. You're going to love it, and you're going to grow your business smarter, faster. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you somewhere else online.